Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Brian De La Cruz. Today I'm going to be talking about video game addiction. Here's my note card. Here's my audience. So, video game addiction. I'm sure there is not a single person in the audience right now that is not a gamer. However, I'm also sure that there's some in the audience that has an issue with video games, myself included. Knowing every person in my audience, we all enjoy playing video games. Video games are a staple for every teenager worldwide. It is a temporary escape from the stress of school and work, a reality in which you are in control. When you spend way too much time playing video games, however, when it starts to affect your grades, your jobs, your aspirations, that's when it becomes a problem. Video game addiction is a serious issue that should be addressed, as it negatively affects generations of all ages, but especially the younger generation. This issue could be resolved by what is called a video game detox. A research study conducted by Douglas A. G. examined 3,034 children and teenagers. The statistics show that the average length of time spent playing video games was 20 hours per week, and that 72% of Americans play video games. An estimated 9% of those participants showed video game addiction, and 4% of the study participants were categorized as extreme users who play video games for a total of 50 hours per week. Defining addiction. While it is true that when a person hears addiction, it's usually aligned with substances such as drugs and alcohol, it also applies to behavioral addiction as well. An addiction is when the person needs more of a substance to keep them going. And second, if the person doesn't get more, he becomes irritable and miserable. See, a video game addict meets two of these criteria. They become irritable and violent. If access to video games are confiscated, the person would rather stare at the wall and do nothing, coming from personal experience. Like drugs, video game addiction is also found to activate the pleasure centers of the brain, causing an increased dopamine release during exciting moments such as getting the high score in a match. Now that I've defined video game addiction, we are now going to shift our attention to the solutions that are available. See, video game addictions can't avoid computers. You have to just use them responsibly, just like alcohol. There are many ways a video game addict could perform a video game detox. Success with the younger generation starts early, with emphasis on parental supervision. So for the younger generation, parents should put more attention towards their children and document their gaming behavior, such as logs of when the child plays and how long, problems resulting from gaming, and how a child reacts to time limits. Parents should engage in fun, active interactions with their child, and that does not include playing video games. Allowing their child to engage in more social interactions outside of video games. And for someone that is my age and older, dealing with video game addiction starts with its acceptance and control. Number one, acceptance. Accepting that one has a video game addiction is important, as it has become something that is an unavoidable part of one's life, just like food. Controlling oneself doesn't necessarily mean completely abandoning video games. My personal face with the issue is setting myself strict time limits that I firmly abide to. Well, let's try to visualize it. Now I've discussed solutions for video game addiction. I would like to tell you guys a personal experience of my own video game addiction. Many of you in the audience have added me on Steam and could see the tens of thousands of hours that I've played on the games that I've shown on my profile. I had no control over my gaming addiction. I remember sneaking downstairs late at night to play video games and having one of my headphone ears visible just to hear if my mom's going downstairs. The thrill of just doing such a risky act kept me going, as not only I was playing video games, the added tension and the adrenaline made my gaming session even more exciting. That was years ago. It was not easy to develop a habit of limiting myself from playing video games. I was so addicted that I had an endless irritable feeling when my hands are out of my computer. My patience and perseverance to develop the habit proved to be a success when jumping straight in front of the computer was not the first thing that I did when I got home from school. So in conclusion, video games have single-handedly created a generational shift that for many see as a negative. But personally, without it, I would not have met the friends that I have today. And I know for a fact that millions of other people like me around the world could say the same thing. Video game addiction can be helped with important intervention from the family, but in reality, it can be solved by helping yourself. These are my audience. And that's the end of my speech.
Let's go.